From Houston to San Antonio, we're bringing you all the pop culture news. Join Jacob and James as they chase fortune and fame. On the go or just staying home, we will entertain you from your phone. It's On the Go Show.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, you like that?
That's pretty. It's not as wacky and out there like I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh man,
it's not the worst thing I played for you.
It's not. It's just not. It was coming close, but I was like, all right.
So
it was coming close.
The backstory to this, James, is obviously AI. I'm gonna throw it out there. AI. I didn't pay a guy to make this, and if you thought I paid a guy to make this, I don't know.
That'll be about $10,
maybe 20. So I don't know. I think it was like a day or two after we recorded last week's episode, and I jumped on my computer and I was just playing with like AI music because I was like, I want to do something different with our intro. I don't want it to be an AI intro. I just want like a different intro music because I don't know. I edit these things. I have to listen to the intro music every week when I put it in, and I'm like, we can do. Sorry, my cat tried to break in again. We can do something, or we can get something better. I just don't exactly know what it is. So over the next like few recordings, James, I have created a variety of AI generated intros just to have some fun.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I've been meaning to talk to you about using like at least the instrumentals. The instrumentals is more I care more about than the actual
exactly.
person.
Yeah,
because as we know, I've been trying to get this special that I really want to do off the ground, but I can't find any. Yeah, and I can't find any music that has any interest.
Right.
But I did see this AI music thing in the background. There's all instrumentals that I could use, and I was like, that'd be so perfect. That would be so freaking perfect.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it.
I'm coming around to it. AI is such a tricky thing right now, where it's like, companies are using it to not pay people, right? Like they're like Coca-Cola got in trouble. I don't know if we covered this, but Coca-Cola, I don't know if they got in trouble, but they got a lot of flack for using an AI generated Coca-Cola commercial, so much so to where like the Coca-Cola symbol or even words in the commercial didn't say Coca-Cola. It was like something else because AI, the longer you look at it, the worse it gets, imaging wise. I don't want to be like that. But
well, no, yeah, of course not. We ain't talking about being like that. But I mean, you have, if you can use something without having to, because like I said, we don't have the means of money. Like,
right. If we could pay somebody, we would. Right.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we can definitely work on like an intro for you if that's the route you want to go.
Well, it's something like that. I'll talk to you more about it after we get done with the pod.
Of course, yes.
It's something that I've been really wanting to do, and I've been really trying to get this off the ground. I was trying to get off the ground in December, January, and it's just like I can't find the right music, and like the music that we have that we use on like the podcast, so I'm not really interested in.
Yeah, I've been using the podcast music a lot more, and it's not that impressive to me. I found some good things, but yeah, I think the route that you want to go, it probably does need to be something different. But yeah, we can discuss that more after the show. Didn't mean to get into a whole shop talk moment there, but yeah. So over the next few weeks, I'm gonna use like random AI generated intros, and we'll play with them. We'll have some fun, but some of them are real cheesy, and some of them sound decentish. I think that was like a pretty decent one.
Yeah, that was decent. I like that.
So just to give you a level of like what to expect next time, like that's probably the top.
Yeah, that's fine.
It goes down from there.
Because at first I thought it was gonna be like, well, okay, so I know what to expect with the wacky DJ, wacky AM DJ. I was like, all right,
right.
So that's what I thought we were getting, the wacky AM DJ.
Oh yeah,
a bunch of clown noises and fart.
No.
So yeah, I'm happy.
No.
I'm happy we didn't get that.
No, it's all good. How's your week been?
It's been okay. I had a okay birthday. Like I said, I went out to go eat. You ever been to Mangino's?
Who?
Mangino's in Memorial City Mall.
Oh, it's an Italian place, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right next to Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, I don't think I've been there, but I have seen it.
No one's ever been there. No one. Maybe it's because of the way I'm pronouncing it.
Is that where is that a foreshadowing of like where the story's going?
Well, well, yeah, sort of, kind of, but that's not the point. But it's like no one's ever been to this place, and every time I keep telling people that I went there for my birthday, it's just like, oh, this is some type of fancy place,
Right.
and it's a nice Italian restaurant. And I like Italian food. I like Italian food, and I like fish. Those are two things that I love the most. So I go to this place, and I decide to dine in because at first I just wanted to just decided like I really don't like to eat by myself. I don't like people looking at me and staring at me while I'm eating.
I get that. I don't think I've ever been to a restaurant by myself.
I have in the past like IHOP or Denny's, but never like a fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
So I go there and I say, hey, party for one. The lady, she sits me down. She gives me my menu. And there is this girl, this woman that's looking right directly at me the entire time. And she's in like total eye shot. Now, before you say, she's like, she's an old woman. So she looks to be like in her 50s to 60s. And everything I'm telling you is true. I'm telling you a true story.
Okay.
So the lady gives me the menu. The lady's looking at me the entire time. And at a certain point now, I've gotten kind of bolder. I've gotten real bold now to the point where I'm going to ask you, ma'am or sir, what are you looking at? Is everything okay? How you doing today? So I asked the lady, I waved at the lady, and the lady, she just kind of like went back to her menu. I was like, what the hell? I said, well, that changes your way. So then I ordered some wine. Yeah, so I ordered some wine. Yeah, look, man, it's been a long week, brother. All right. I need some type of liquor.
Wine with dinner is fine. I'm not judging you. That wasn't a judgmental ooh. It was
okay.
It was like a ooh.
Okay, I'm about to say, God, I needed some type of liquor in my system. So I ordered some red wine, and then the lady looks at me again. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? She wants some attention. So I go up to her and I ask her, hey, how you doing today? And she was with one of her little lady friends. So it wasn't like she was with a guy or nothing like that. Because if she was with a guy, there would have been whole different problems.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, how you doing? Is everything okay? And she was like, oh, no. Everything's fine. The reason why I keep looking at you is because you look like somebody. And I was like, I think I know where you're going with this. And for a long time, people told me I look like this basketball player named Andrew Bynum.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, he used to play for the Lakers. I was like, well, no, ma'am, I'm not Andrew Bynum. She said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep staring at you. You're a very handsome man. I said, well, I thank you. I thank you for that. I had like a little snazzy little blazer on because it was kind of cool outside.
Yeah.
A little snazzy blazer and some dress slacks. Like, I want to look somewhat nice for my birthday,
Right.
Like, I didn't have the best birthday, so I want to look somewhat nice for it.
Right. You gotta doll yourself up. You gotta treat yourself, as they say.
Yeah. I want to doll myself up a little. Doll myself up. I like that. That's a good one. So I want to doll myself up a little bit. And, she's talking to me. And as I'm suddenly talking to her, I realized in my mind that she wants me as like one of those cabana boys. She started talking to me because she started really, really flirting with me hard. She touched me on my hand because I had laid my hand on like the little table part. I was like, maybe she wants me as like one of those cabana boys. Now, I would be open to being a cabana boy, because you know what a cabana boy is, right?
Yeah, I think so. I have a pretty good idea.
It's pretty much the little hot young guy who fans the older woman and does whatever she wants.
Yeah.
And she buys them like shoes and expensive jewelry just to keep them around. I would have been all up for that. I end this story to tell you this: the food was good. I ordered a nice pasta. Everything was amazing. Shrimp pasta. I was finished. I went back to my table. She finished talking to her friend. When they left, the woman gave me her card, and on the back of it was her number. She worked in the massage, one of those masseuse places.
Oh.
I was like, whoa.
Oh, that's what she was doing. She was networking. That was
networking. That was networking. And on the back of it was it's a personal number. Because on the front of it was her real number, was like the work number. And on the back of it was a personal number.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say I got hit it on, and she was networking.
Oh, hey, that's a good birthday gift.
Yep.
You know, you had a bad day, so you get dolled up and you go out, and then you get hit on by a massage masseuse. Yeah.
And that's just a sprinkle of what you'd expect from my new special coming up on the Go Pod.
Is that,
I was saving
is that
it.
the tease? Is that the tease?
That's the tease. So I was saving it, you know, for this podcast specifically. I didn't want to tell this story, and I didn't want to waste the load. I want you to be surprised about how this story was going to go.
I see.
But yeah, this is like a little small sample of what you'd expect.
Okay.
I'm doing my little special, man. I'm trying to do something different, almost like a one-man show where I'm just telling like stories.
I mean, hey, that works.
Yeah, and I have like a book of it. You know, I've been writing down so many stories over the past few months. You know, chronicling different things that I've been through, especially at the bar. Because I have so many good bar stories that you would love to hear.
I mean, it sounds like it.
Yeah. I got some wild bar stories. So yeah, man, like this is some of the stuff that you could expect from it, and I really, really can't wait.
Yeah, man, I'd be excited to hear all those stories, especially if they're like this one.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you know, it kind of reminds me of did I ever tell you about the time of how I almost got like sucked into an MLM?
No, tell me.
Okay. Well, I had just graduated college with my audio recording degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was when I worked at a theater at the time. So I'm working at the theater, doing box office, you know, taking tickets or whatever. And one of the guests, obviously, comes up, gets a ticket or whatever, and he was asking me, "Hey, are you in college? What are you doing?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh, I just graduated college, you know, audio recording technology, sound engineer. Want to go into XYZ." So he's like, "Oh, well, you should here's my number. You should give me a call and come by my place and blah blah blah." And I thought he was talking about like he had a studio. I don't know. The way he was talking was like he was interested in the fact that I knew like audio stuff, right? So like, all right, cool. So I call the number, and then I think it was like somebody else who answered, and they set me up like a meeting. So I was like, okay, maybe he's got a secretary or whatever. And I forget where it was. It was in like some other part of Houston that I've never like really been to. And so I drive over there. This was when I was first starting to date Khadijah too, because I told her about it. I was like, oh, hey, this guy, maybe I can get in. I got a good job going, right? And so I drive to the place. It's in like, like one of the shopping center areas.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's
not an abandoned building or anything. But it was like, yeah, it's in a shopping center, but there's no like name of business on the address, right? It's just like not an empty building or anything, but like where the name card it's empty. Yeah. I'm like, all right, that's kind of weird. And I walk in, I was like, hey, yeah, I have a meeting with so-and-so today, just blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll be right back in like 5 minutes. Guy goes away, or secretary or whatever goes away. And then another person comes out, not the guy I originally met at the theater. I've never seen that man again. It was like some other dude, and he was like, hey, like here, I'm going to give you the spiel. And it was like some like weird like insurance selling company.
Oh, they trapped you.
Yeah, well, they almost did, right? And they were like, oh, the books are going to be like $200 for you to start and blah, blah, blah. And like, you're going to be helping people and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to think about that. Like, they wanted me to pay like that day. Like, it wasn't even like a yes or no. Yeah, it wasn't a yes or a no. It was like straight up just like, oh, hey, it's going to be like $200. Hey, do you have a credit card? We can set you up right now. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I want to give you my credit card. I'm going to think about this. I'll give you a call back or whatever. And walked out of there.
Oh man. See, I have a story just similar to that. That is awesome. See, I have a story similar to that, but it involves swingers.
Oh man.
And pyramid scheme. And I can't tell it on this pod because I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste it. But if you guys want to if you guys want to hear it, get ready. I'm telling you, I will start promoting this, and I can't wait. And Jacob, you got to tune in, man. You got to tune into this.
I will be there. But oh man, I remember I was so mad too. I was mad at that guy because like we're working at a theater. It's mostly a job for high school age kids, right? It's a real good job to be like part time with a flexible schedule, right?
Yeah, it's a part time job.
the most beneficial thing about it, plus free movies and whatnot. And so I think it was like management at the time. So I was like covering box office, and that's how this guy found me. But I got very upset because I was like, oh man, I know there's a lot of other like kids there that are probably desperate to make more money because at the time the theater didn't pay that much. You know, This is before the pay increase like a few years later. So I got very upset thinking about this. I was like, oh man, if I ever see that dude in that theater again, I'm going to tell him off. Because I was just like, are you going to come to a theater and catch people in pyramid schemes? You know?
Okay, I have a theory. So what if that guy that caught you in the movie theater that told you all these different things, what if he was a guy that had a regular job and did all the similar things you did, and they trapped him and they enslaved him, and they said, you're going to do our bidding for us.
That could be how it goes. That's how that's how pyramid schemes work.
You're going to do our bidding for us.
That's how it works. You find another employee and then get their money, and then they find another employee and they get. Nobody makes. I don't know. It's so weird how it works, and it's weird that it's like somewhat legal.
And like, well, what if the guy was trying to throw out hints? Like, sir, do you want? He's blinking his eyes the entire time.
Yeah.
He's touching your shoulder.
Oh
like,
man.
They try to play Morse code. Like,
yeah, please save me. Well. Yeah, you feel good about that one, don't you?
You almost got caught, man. You
almost.
got caught.
I'm smarter than that, though. I'm not like, oh, okay, I'll just do this, I guess.
You almost got enslaved, man.
Right? But it's also like, I don't know. It's also like I'm not that desperate for money. I got a full-time job as it is. I just graduated college. I was excited because I thought you had something in my career for me. I'm not going to do your insurance salesman stuff. Like, what?
Oh man, that is a great way. I love it. That is awesome.
Well, thank you, James. I'm glad I can entertain you.
Yeah, man. Hey, we both told some very interesting stories.
Yeah, man. We're like 20 minutes into this, and we're starting off good today. So
I think so.
So, with our personal lives aside, I want to bring up this email that our dear good friend listener Zach had sent us.
You've got mail.
He says, "Hey guys. Why do you think most directors blame others or people for why their movie failed instead of taking responsibility or saying in a more professional way of why their movie failed? Thanks."
I mean, he's right, because this is definitely a topic I kind of wanted to talk about, because I heard what Andy Muschietti said too, and this kind of comes off the heels of the Marvel CEO. I mean, not Marvel, but Sony guy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know whether these people have PR. Do you think some of these people have PR?
They should. You would think they have like a PR guy to listen to, but also some people don't listen to their PR people. Honestly, they just like, oh, whatever, I know better. You know, humans are going to human at the end of the day. So even if you have like a PR guy, you can choose to not listen to them, right?
Well, yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
I think some people just like, oh, whatever, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and then you get blasted on the internet because you said something stupid.
Because it's like, I feel like there's other ways that you can say this without sounding very tone deaf.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
I'll get your opinion first. You go ahead on.
All right. So you brought up Andy Muschietti, and I forgot to preface this email with the fact that Zach had sent it with the Flash director's comments question as the subject. So yeah, that's where we're getting Andy Muschietti from. But Andy Muschietti just did an interview recently, and I was gonna do the extra legwork, James, and go get the audio and play it on the show, and we can be like, let's listen to what he actually had to say, right?
Oh, nice, you got it.
No, it's a Spanish podcast. Like, we would not understand.
I'll be damned.
I did. I looked it up. I was like, I'm gonna go download this and like we'll be cool or whatever. But no, it's Spanish, so I'm like, okay, well that's a bust. But his comments on the podcast were essentially that the Flash movie didn't hit the four quadrants, and what that basically means is like, there's four demographics or four age groups, across the lifespan, I suppose, and those are the demographics you need to hit, right? So you got like males 18 to 25, you got females 18 to 25, and then vice versa, and so on and so forth, age groups, older age groups and younger age groups, whatever. And so I guess the Flash movie didn't hit all those quadrants, and that's why it didn't make the money, right? Because people weren't going to see it and all that stuff. And from the aspect of like, I kind of get what he's saying, right? Because that's corporate speak, right? That's probably what your executive producer, not the executive producer, but your executives in your movie studios are telling you, right? Or whoever you meet with, they're like, hey, look, it didn't hit this and this and this. So I kind of get what he's saying. I think the reason the Flash movie didn't do as well is because, did they release it in the theaters? They didn't release it in the theaters, did they?
Yeah, they released in theaters.
Oh, I did. I thought it came on streaming. Okay.
Oh, well, it came out theaters.
I don't think it did so well just because of the fact that, first of all, it was delayed 7 years?
Yeah, it was delayed.
It got delayed so much. It's basically the Blade of the DC universe, right? Except I think Blade's almost going on longer. It got delayed so much, and then Ezra Miller started having all those issues. And
True.
So that really affected the movie. The movie itself, I don't think it's a bad film.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
think it's a great film. And I mean, it's, also again, comic book movies, you're going to hit a very specific demographic with those, right? Like your demographic is mostly going to be male, probably 18 to 25. And then on the older age, maybe I don't know, 25 to 40 or 50.
That's about right. I think 10% women.
Yeah, not to say that there aren't women who listen to watch comic book movies or whatever, but I think statistically probably more men are into the comic book stuff or whatever. And
yeah, of course.
I have no facts up here to just to back me up, so I'm just talking. That being said, I also think as a creative, creatives get very defensive on their work, right?
Always.
So I think that's where some of it comes from. So Todd Phillips, for example, Joker 2 came out, a bunch of people hated it. Immediately Todd Phillips comes out and he's like, well, you just didn't understand it because this is what I meant and blah, blah. He felt like he had to come out and explain the movie to try to get you back on his side. And I think that's where the defensiveness kind of comes from sometimes. I don't think Andy Muschietti I don't think what he said is oh, you just didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. I think what he said comes from a very business point of view. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that he had a point, but at the same time, he's right. It didn't hit the 4 quadrants. But also, too, you got to understand what was DC at that time. It was, it was already in the ground. Everyone hated it. All the movies were flopping. You had Ezra Miller and his stuff that was going on, like you said. And it was at that point where people just didn't we don't really care anymore.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. This is going to be... It's the same thing with Aquaman 2. Aquaman 2 didn't do much in theaters, and that's because everybody was like, well, it's not going to go anywhere. That's it. Which is... I think in order to have a really good cinematic universe, you should be able to... Your movies that don't lead up to other movies should still be successful. You know what I mean? Aquaman 2 should have still done good just because people like Aquaman, not because... oh, this is going to lead to the next Justice League thing. Yeah, that feeds into it. But if your individual movies livelihoods consist on how well it fits into the overarching story, it's not going to do that well when your cinematic universe dies or gets rebooted or whatever, right? So,
well, yeah, because you had the reboot, and at the same time, the first Aquaman was very good.
Very good. Surprised a lot of people because Aquaman.
Yeah, it's definitely surprised a lot of people. And I think Jason Momoa really helped it along because Aquaman is probably one of the most, what we want to call it, the most niche, probably the most, to use language of back in the day, one of the most gayest characters. People always felt like one of the most gayest characters in probably comic book
little
lore.
bit, yeah.
Yeah. So no one really ever took to Aquaman like that. But Jason Momoa kind of brought a little different level to it, almost like Lobo in the water. So that movie is successful. With the second one, not so much because the simple fact that, once again, no one cared because it wasn't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And 2, I think people were just tired. People were just tired of DC. You had Black Adam that had already came out. That was a disaster. And then you had, what's the other movie that came out? Shazam. That was a disaster.
Yeah, Fear of the Gods. Blue Beetle.
That was a generic, by-the-numbers comic book movie.
It really was.
So, I mean, you had all these different factors that went into why it's just not just, I don't want to just blame it all on women, but the simple fact that no one cared. It's just no one really cared.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're right. Some people didn't care or whatever at the time. So, and that happens. But like I said, I don't think what Andy Muschietti said was too outrageous compared to like what the CEO of Sony says or what Todd Phillips says. But they should take more responsibility. It would be nice if a director was like, hey, you know what? I did my best with this movie and unfortunately it just didn't perform well.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. That's all you got to say.
It's like sports. Whenever people talk to people in sports, be like, well, we ran a good game, but the other people ran a better game and blah, 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 blah. Like, they always get that kind of generic-y like answer on the field.
Robotic. It's a robotic answer, but it's an answer nonetheless.
Yeah. And again, it's hard for creatives because it's just like you pour your heart and soul into this and you think you're doing a great job. And then like overwhelmingly imagine like we put out this small time podcast. Nobody really like pays much attention to it, like, well, or they do, but like we don't get a ton of comments, right? But if for whatever reason like a post or something blew up, like talking about how bad our stuff is, we would get really defensive about it, right?
Probably, yeah, most likely.
So you just have to. It's a human condition, and you have to be able to turn that off sometimes. And for whatever reason, directors these days, not all of them, but some of them just can't or don't.
It's just annoying, man. It really is annoying. Like these guys have really, really got to find a way to lower their egos, and all of it too is like an ego-driven Hollywood, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're doing these big budget, like big movie company movies, or the pressure in DC is high because like they're fighting Marvel, they're against Marvel, and Marvel for a long time was kicking their butt. And now it's like, oh, well, Marvel's kind of failing, so we have a chance here. And the pressure's still high. The pressure's really high on James Gunn to champion what he's got going on.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about Creature Commandos. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say about it. You have any other remarks?
No, I don't have any more remarks for it. I mean, I'm just glad that was an email that was sent to us because I definitely wanted to talk about that.
Who have I been emailing? Who?
On the Go podcast with Jacob and James.
It's decent.
We're going to move on here to some box office numbers. Or maybe not box office numbers per se, James, but one particular movie that came out. The greatest, one of the greatest performing artists we have, Robbie Williams. I don't know if you know him.
Huh?
Exactly.
Huh?
Some songwriter. I don't know. He wrote a hit back in the day, but I think we covered it before on the show. Robbie Williams, again, famous British guy. He writes songs. He wrote some hits. Can't name a hint that he wrote.
One. Can't name it.
He came out with a biopic called Better Man, and it tanked with $1 million. Like I think it only made $1 million at the box office the first weekend it came out. I'm double checking these numbers.
The only part I know in that movie, as you pulled up the numbers, the only part I remember that movie is in the trailer when he says, "We said for a couple hours, your ass is mine."
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's the only part I like. Ass is mine.
Well, I mean, if someone says that when they start a concert or a performance, like you'd be like, all right, I was already here for you, but yeah. What do you got?
Your ass is mine.
So it faltered with a $1.9 million to start, and then up to date as this Variety article that I'm looking at that came out on January 12th. So as of a few days ago, it was up to 4.7 million, which is a very bad opening for a movie.
Yep.
Especially because I don't know what the budget is. Hold on, I'm going to look at the budget, but it doesn't surprise me, James, because first of all, nobody knows who the hell Robbie Williams is.
Not in the States.
Not in the States.
Not in the States.
And also, I don't know, they touted this as the most unique biopic. And I disagree with that. Because it's not unique. It's a regular biopic. You just CGI'd a monkey man.
Because you thought that'll probably bring in more people. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is different.
And I'm not going to lie. It's an interesting concept. But the whole movie, he's still just Robbie Williams, right? Like he's not a monkey or he's not a chimp who became, able to talk and, almost like Planet of the Apes, but not taking over. You know, like you could have done that, and that would have been more interesting. Be like, yeah, I'll watch a movie about this chimpanzee that learned how to talk and sing.
I would have too.
You know, but they didn't do that. And also, this is off the back of the Pharrell biopic, which was a Lego movie, which
also
unfortunately no
didn't do
one
good.
saw.
Yeah,
no,
no
it
one
didn't
saw
do
that
very
movie.
good. But if you're going for creativity and you're going for uniqueness, I would say that's more unique than this one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, that's not unique at all. It's just a biopic, and you CGI'd a monkey man over it. And Pharrell did a whole Lego movie with Warner Brothers, Universal. He did it with Universal because Universal has the rights until I think this year, which is unfortunate for them because they got the rights to the Lego products in 2020, and they had a deal to do like 5 movies, and then the pandemic happened, so
Yeah.
I think the Pharrell movie was the only one that made it. I don't even know if they're going to try to like get the others out or extend their contract.
That's a good question.
But yeah, it's like that's a much more unique thing to me. So that just rubbed me the wrong way. And also too, like the Weird Al Yankovic biopic, I wanted to point out, like that's a parody of biopics, which is also very Weird Al Yankovic, right? Because
Everything he did was a parody. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he does do original stuff, but yeah, most of his big stuff, his famous stuff, is like parodies. So
Especially the Michael Jackson stuff.
yeah, so it's like that's even more unique because like yeah, it's a biopic, but it's a parody of a biopic from a guy who does parodies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can see why this thing like bombed at the box office. I don't think it's a big surprise. No one's really like, oh my god, you didn't go see the Robbie Williams movie? You should. Like everyone's just like, yeah, we don't know who that guy is. Why would we go watch this movie?
You can't name me one hit that Robert Williams ever made.
No, and I can look it up because I know he's been a writer or something on some notable songs. I just don't remember which ones they are at this moment.
I bet you the songs that are probably hits you probably would have never known.
Maybe. I don't know. I remember them being some kind of pop hits, but anyway, poor Robbie Williams.
Boo.
If you were to make a biopic of someone, James, who would you choose? There's someone who hasn't been like biopicked before.
I mean, I feel like it's been done so many times. So
It's
many
hard to-
biopics.
yeah,
It's
you're
kind of
right.
hard to pick. I mean, they already done one by Michael Jackson come out next year.
All right.
Let me see.
Better
Okay, what you
question.
got?
Out of all the up and coming people we've had over the last 10 years or so, who do you think they will make a biopic of in the future?
That's a good question. That's a kicker because I don't really see any artists that are of any interest like that.
Well, it
Like
could be
on
any
the
kind of
levels?
celebrity.
Any type of celebrity.
I mean, we're talking YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like in any
Oh,
celebrity.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I refuse to see a Logan Paul film.
Oh, you don't think there's going to be a Mr. Beast biopic?
Oh God, yeah, a Mr. Beast documentary about him
Or,
going to jail.
Yeah. You know what? Elon Musk biopic.
Ugh, I
That's
wouldn't
probably
watch
coming.
that. I
What-
wouldn't watch that.
Who could you see that you actually do enjoy?
Oh man, that's a good one. Who I enjoy. I don't know, man. I just really don't know. I just don't see any lives that are that as interesting as what we had back in the day. And I think you know the reason why it's hard to see so many biopics of people of today is because their life is already on the canvas for you to see.
That is true. It's already going. So
It's
yeah,
already going.
it's hard to picture like, oh yeah, when they make this guy's movie.
Because you already seen it play out right before your eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's,
Like
that's fair.
even with like Donald Trump, like the movie with Sebastian Stan where he played Donald Trump. That was I didn't get a chance to watch it. I wanted to watch it, but I never got a chance to. But that was a lot more interesting because you even though you kind of knew some of the stuff about Donald Trump, you didn't know as much.
Right. Well, it was also the early days of Trump.
It was the early days.
I wanted to watch that because I don't know. It's so weird because like Trump circa 2015 versus Trump circa everything before that is a very different person.
Very, very different.
And I kind of did want to watch that movie to be like, oh yeah, this was what it was like when Trump was. I mean, he was still like a celebrity, but like kind of mostly an average person.
Average rich person.
Compared to average rich person. You're right. Compared to political zeitgeist, or
Yeah,
maybe
he
not
wasn't
zeitgeist,
doing,
but
he wasn't doing any of that stuff back in the day. Like everyone,
yeah,
magnet. How can I say this?
magnified.
He was magnified, and everybody loved him, or you
Yeah.
at least respected him, at least. And that's how it was, and that's why I want to see the movie so much, because I want to see how he became into power. Even though I kind of know how he got into power, I just want to see it from a movie standpoint.
Right. Well, I think it only stayed in like the 80s too. So I was like, oh, that's also nice because then it doesn't lead into the early 2000s, and it's not like no. I guess like a hit piece or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was generally interested in it. Apparently, he didn't want that movie released. He actually tried to fight it.
Yep.
Because I guess he thought it was going to make him look bad. I don't know, and maybe they did kind of lean in a certain direction more than the other, but I don't know. I haven't been able to see it, but I am interested in that one.
Well, like I said, that's really no celebrity, because, like I said, everyone shows their life on the internet so much, so you kind of know everything about every celebrity.
That is true. I can see like a Justin Bieber biopic coming out. Yeah, I hear the side, but not.
It's like a Lifetime movie. A Lifetime.
It could, maybe so, but like I could see that happening because, Bieber was huge for a while, and a lot of people just hated him to hate him, right?
Yeah, they just hated him.
Yeah, and then he kind of becomes more of an adult, and he starts being a bad person, like peeing in buckets and doing all kinds of outrageous things, and people are like, oh, that Justin Bieber, he's doing all these things because he's a celebrity. And then a few more.
He did have that one little period, didn't he? He did have that one period where he was kind of messing up.
And then a few more years later, you kind of find out the Diddy stuff. He was hanging out with Diddy a lot back then, right?
Well, it wasn't only that. He was getting taken advantage of by producers and stuff like that. And
exactly. So I think that story would be interesting to tell on screen, just because what's been going on with Diddy and the revelations of him being taken advantage of and all this other stuff. I think that would be an interesting movie to watch. But as far as biopics go, that's what I'm thinking. I think Bieber would be a big one, and then I don't know. I could see Mr. Beast, depending on how the next few years go for him. If he gets back into the light, yeah, I can see one. If he kind of continues to decline the way he's been declining.
Well, he's not declining. I mean, he got the little show to come on Netflix and stuff. I'm put it out here. He's not. I don't know what he's done. I have no clue. Something about him behind that smile. I just feel like there lies some BS that we don't know about, but we will find out.
You're right. There's a lot of accusations going on, and then also I don't know. I think people are just becoming very skeptical of him. At first, it's oh, he's doing all these things to help out and doing all these great things and stuff, and then especially when Lunchly came out, the Lunchable version of Prime and I don't know whatever else they were trying to sell.
Yeah,
I think that when that came out, people started looking at him differently, and then the Squid Games, Beast Games thing he has on Amazon, there's a lot of lawsuits from that because I guess people weren't treated right on set or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So I think that's opening some people's eyes. I don't really know if anything's going to come of it either, or maybe it'll get washed away. Maybe it'll get worse. Who knows? But I can see a biopic of him coming up because he's been pretty big as a celebrity over the past couple of years at least.
Yeah, he's been very talked about.
Yeah. We can move on from this biopic conversation, James. I didn't mean for it to last so long. I found two pieces of news from the Hollywood Reporter that I found kind of interesting.
All right.
And we don't have to stay on them for too long. But Sing Sing, which is Coleman Domingo's newest movie.
Yeah, which I want to see. I don't know when it comes out, though.
It's releasing simultaneously in theaters and in prisons.
Wow, yeah. I wonder why. I mean, I think I know why, because it's about a young man being in prison.
Yeah, apparently it says Sing Sing, which follows a group of men enrolled in a prison theater program, will screen inside correctional facilities in California, New York, Texas, and 43 other states. Maybe not California so much anymore, but
yeah, right.
The unusual release is thanks to a collaboration between A24 Rehabilitation Through the Arts, RTA, the real-life nonprofit organization on which the film is based on, and Endovo, a nonprofit that creates curricula for incarcerated people to access via tablets in more than 1,100 correctional facilities across the country.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Cool.
I
Yeah,
thought
that's
that was
cool.
interesting. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Also, it's just like, oh, it's being released in prisons.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, kind of random.
It's
not so
random,
much.
but it's smart marketing though.
It is smart marketing, but some people would say like, why do prisoners need to watch this movie? But if it's part of a rehabilitation thing where it's like, hey, yeah, you might be in prison, you might have made some mistakes or done some horrible things, but you can still join these programs.
Yeah, that's always. Yeah,
rehabilitate yourself. Like, speaking of California, obviously the fires that have been going on, there's been some stuff out there that's saying like, oh, they're sending prisoners to fight the fires. I don't know if you've seen anything about that.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about it. I don't think it's true.
Well, I happen to know because a few years ago, I used to work on like multiple different kind of podcasts as a freelancer. And one podcast that I would work on that I actually really enjoyed editing and listening to as I edited it or produced it was this podcast called More Than a Felon. And it was hosted by a guy who was in the California correctional facilities. And they have a program where you can go and train and learn how to be like a firefighter. And I think it might have been like for reduced time, or eventually you got reduced time or whatever. And they did pay you, but they paid you like a prison rate, right? So it's like $4 an hour or some ungodly amount of money, or not ungodly, but like poor amount of money. Yeah. Some would argue like, well, you're in prison, but that's neither here nor there. So that's what the podcast would be about. It was just like how to rehabilitate yourself and, talking about the firefighter program and all this stuff. And he still leads that program, or he still leads a program in California. I think it's California, where he works with felons and, helps them train to be firefighters and puts them through like the training and stuff like that, because that helped him, that saved him when he was in prison. And I thought it was great. I thought it was like a very noble thing, because it's like, oh yeah, that's a great way to reform your life. He's also like, hey, look, like you might be in prison, but if you join this program, when you get out, you got a government job.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Like you're set up with the government, it'll keep you in shape. It's a good program and all this stuff. And so when I saw like these news clips of how like, oh, they're making prisoners fight fires, or they're sending prisoners to fight fires, I was like, well, yeah, yes and no. They're not forcing these guys to fight the fires.
I mean, also too, at the same time, you kind of need all the help you can get, don't you think?
Well, yeah, exactly, because the California government kind of let California down.
Everybody has let California down. The government, the mayoral, the electoral, everyone in town hall, everybody has let these people down. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you kind of need everyone's help. So it's kind of, I wouldn't just shun away anybody that's helping out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, so I don't think it's not an abusive situation. I just thought it was interesting that like that kind of popped up, and I was like, oh,
once again, misinformation.
Misinformation, yeah, it's
misinformation.
But I was like, it's one of those things where it's one of those rare times where you're like, oh no, I actually know about this. Let me educate you.
Jeez, man. Well, I'm glad you said that, because like I said, it's just so much misinformation, man, that goes like anytime you have these natural disasters or terrorist attacks, it's always so much misinformation that everyone gets all this stuff off the internet without even trying to do any research. The first thing they see on Threads or X, they run with.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have a bad habit of just reading headlines, and I know just reading headlines. I have a bad habit of that as well. But yeah, you just read the headline, and you're like, oh, this is happening, okay, and then you go about your day and you spread it along. Yeah. So you gotta read some stuff. Read
just a little bit, people. Man. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
It is. So moving on from wildfires in prison. The last story I have for you for this segment, James, is about Mel Gibson, everyone's favorite Mad Max.
Yeah, speaking of wildfires.
Yeah, right. That would have been a good lead-in. That's what I should have said. Yeah. Speaking of wildfires, James. But so Mel Gibson was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, right? And he was talking about the Passion of the Christ sequel. I don't know if you knew this, but he's making a sequel to Passion of the Christ. He's been working on it for like 7 years, apparently. and it's called The Resurrection of Christ. And apparently, it's going to be like part of the setting is just going to be like hell. So he was talking about how crazy it's supposed to be. He's like, okay, here it goes. He says, there's a lot required because the script is an acid trip. I've never read anything like it. There's some crazy stuff. In order to tell the story properly, you have to start with the fall of the angels. You're in another realm. You need to go to hell. You need to go to Sheol. So I don't know where Jesus comes in this picture. I don't know if like Jesus is going to be battling his way out of hell, but that just got me not interested. But I was like, oh, that's kind of a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was required. I mean, I wasn't required, but I saw it. I remember when I saw the first one. When I saw the first batch, it sounds weird saying. I remember when I saw the first Passion of the Christ movie. And you know, I saw it, and my mom took me, and it was emotional. It was an emotional movie, of course. If you're not religious, of course you're just gonna be laughing at this movie and make all type of jokes and stuff like that. And if you are religious, you're gonna love it. You know, it's a tricky topic. It's always a tricky topic when you talk about religion. Because, like I said, you got some people that are not. And obviously, I'm not the most religious person. So, because as the years have gone and I've gotten older, I've seen how religion can turn people. Yeah, evil. So I've seen those type of things before. But I low key, I would be lying if I'm saying I'm not going to watch it. I would be lying because I did like Passion of the Christ, and he did film it very, very good. In my opinion, he filmed it very, very good.
I know people don't stop talking about it. I've never seen it. I still haven't seen it. I'm fairly certain how it ends. So
yeah, it ends on a sour note, but it ends on but it ends on a high. It ends on a sour note, but it links up to a good sequel.
I guess so.
It was a long time to get to the sequel.
A 20-year-old sequel. I wonder what's going to happen.
I can't wait to see it, man.
Right? Apparently, he's going to film it in English this time around. He's not going to do like Aramaic or Hebrew.
Yeah, which I like that too. By the way, he made the whole film out of here. I think it was Hebrew or Arabic, and I like that. That was the most reading I ever done in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what made it like really impressive, right? Is that you went the extra mile of doing this. You didn't have them all speaking English. You actually went the mile of like having your actors know Aramaic and Hebrew and all that stuff.
This is gonna be a controversial film when it comes out. I definitely can't wait for it.
But I don't know. I'm just curious about this acid trip, quote unquote, this journey to hell he's gonna produce. Like how is that gonna like? Because the movie, I mean, obviously the first one did so well and it's well regarded. So it's like, what are you gonna do when your old Christian ladies go to see this movie and it's like, oh my gosh, there's hell and the devil.
I mean, they're probably gonna be. See, I'm trying my best not to go on my soapbox, but they're probably going to be like, "Oh, yep, this is exactly what it's like. Exactly what it's like."
Yeah,
you know, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. Like I said, if you're not religious, you're going to think it's a complete joke. If you are religious and you're heavy into religion, then you're probably going to be like, "Yep, this is exactly what it's going to be like."
Yeah.
You know? So the sad part about it is, if you saying like this is exactly what it's going to be like, you would think that you would be a better person and not be a total douchebag.
Yeah.
And if you're being a so-called Christian, it's like, yeah, this is what it's going to look like. You can keep treating people the way you treat people.
Yeah.
Boom.
Treat people nice.
Boom.
What would Jesus do?
Yeah.
Maybe probably not go on a journey through hell. I don't know if Jesus would ever do that, but I don't even know if like Jesus is going to be in hell in this movie. I think it's a setting at the beginning of this film.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a setting, and then we'll go back to where the movie left off at. And I know I saw somewhere where Mel Gibson said they're going to de-age him. They're going to de-age the guy that played him.
Yeah, they're going to de-age him by like 20 years.
About 20 years.
Yeah, the man who plays Jesus is Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, Jim Caviezel.
He played in that child trafficking movie that came out like a year or two ago.
Yep.
And then everyone had conspiracies about it because like they went to the theater to watch it and the theater shut down or whatever. So like, oh, they're trying to stop the message. And I'm like, if you've ever worked at a theater, you know, like every day on a daily basis, like 2 or 3 of those projectors just don't work sometimes. Like it happens more often than you would think, right? Because like as a customer or as a guest, you're like, yeah, I've only encountered this like maybe 1 in like 25 times I've been to the movies. But like after working at a theater, it's like, oh no, this is a daily occurrence.
Yeah, he also was in this TV show that is called CBS too, by the way.
Oh,
it was like it was like an action TV show. That was really good too. It was really good. I actually like that show.
Well, good for him.
Yeah,
I don't think he's doing much nowadays, which is why I think he's coming back to play Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think he does something. Like I said, I think he does like a couple more things here and there.
You know what?
He's just very indie.
They shouldn't age him up, or they shouldn't age him down. They should have him be the age that he is, and then that way, if people are like, "Oh, Jesus, you look so old," he can be like, "Yeah, well, death makes you age." I don't know.
See, the thing about it is, in my opinion, he still looks good for his age. So I didn't think he needed to de-age him. He still looks the same.
No, but you know, everyone's doing the de-aging now. But I just think it would be kind of funny where it's like, "Oh my gosh, Jesus, you've aged so much in 3 days." It's like, yeah, I died. Like, it makes you age. I don't know if it's very stressful on the body to die and come back.
Oh boy,
it's a chapter of the Bible they don't include.
That's funny. That's funny.
Like, yeah, you die and come back.
Jeez Louise.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Jesus Christ!
On the go
or on a cruise
with Jacob and James.
Enough about Jesus, enough about prisons and monkey men and whatnot. I want to talk about Creature Commandos for a little bit before we get out of here. So, you didn't get a chance to finish it, right? You said you only got like a couple episodes in still?
No, I didn't, but I saw like the cliff notes and stuff, so I kind of know what's you know.
Well, I'm not going to spoil the story too much because, for one, there's not like a huge story there, like the way they do the episodes. That being said, I did like Creature Commandos. I thought it was great. You've seen the first couple episodes, so you know like the music in it is. I like the music. I like the songs they picked because they were weird, they were wacky, they were kind of like off brand.
Yeah,
or like they're not the mainstream, which kind of makes sense because like Creature Commandos, you've got a bunch of monsters. It meshes well. And then, you know, they made the songs like coincide with the themes of like the different episodes, like whatever's going on. If they're doing this character's backstory, they have a song that kind of matches it or kind of works for that character. And I thought that was really great. I thought it was really smart, really well made, really well produced. Backstories, again, fantastic. That being said, the season, I wish the season was like longer.
You do? Yeah,
well, because like, I guess like the way the story goes, right? Because it's not singular missions these monsters are going on. It's one overarching story. And half those episodes are taken up with the fact that they're showing these creatures' backstories, right? So I just feel like by the time you get to the end of it, like you're really starting to get into the show, and then it ends for the season, which I get it. It's marketing. It's, you know, it's getting people amped up for the next thing and getting people excited for the next like DCU thing. Yeah. And I kind of think fans are hyping it up a little bit too much. Because I've seen things where people are like, oh, this is such a great thing for the DCU. I'm so excited to see what James Gunn is bringing to the table, which is fine. Everyone's excited to see what James Gunn's bringing.
I've heard the opposite because I haven't heard too many people talking about it that much, honestly.
Really?
Nah, I haven't heard too many people talking about it that much.
I've seen a lot of praise and a lot of people just going like, oh, yeah, this solidified James Gunn for me. He's going to do great in the DCU and blah, blah. And that's fantastic. That's fine. I'm not dogging James Gunn here. I just think it's like, okay, well, I don't know. He didn't like break the mold with this show.
No, it was a safe bet. It was a safe movie. I mean, a safe movie. It was a safe show to start with.
Right. Well, I mean, also it's like DC's done this before. Doom Patrol, the live action version of Doom Patrol, which not a lot of people probably saw because it's streaming on Max, right? It's only ever been on HBO Max since it began. But Doom Patrol does the same thing. You have this cast of wacky characters. You got a robot man, you got a psychic girl who's schizophrenic, you got a stretchy lady, you got a irradiated man pilot who like he's like the Invisible Band, right? He's all in bandages and stuff. Their leader is kind of like a Charles Xavier type, except like kind of minor spoilers for Doom Patrol. You find out like that guy had a hand in making all those characters the superheroes that they are. Like he caused the accidents for the Robot Man to get his brain put into a robot, and he did all these things in the background. But all their backstories are like, you know, kind of emotional and such. Same thing with Creature Commandos. So I'm like, okay, the formula is not new. You know?
No, it's not breaking the mold or anything.
You know, yeah, and I see people talking about James Gunn as if like he's the one who invented that. And I was like, guys, we need to calm down a little bit. Like, yeah, it's a great show, but like he didn't invent this.
it was a very solid start to the beginning of something.
But what concerns me about this hype, James, is could the fan base turn on James Gunn like they did on Snyder? Because you remember the days of Snyder before Man of Steel came out, or before Batman v Superman, really, right? Snyder was like the comic book movie guy for a long time. He did 300, he did Watchmen, he did that Sucker Punch movie, which I don't remember if that's based off a comic book, but if it is, it wouldn't surprise me. He was he had the big blockbuster comic book movies, which is why he was brought into the DC universe to do Man of Steel. And then he makes Batman v Superman, and then everybody turned against them.
Well, I'm not going to say that because he still has a hell of a fan base that is pretty much, they're like cult. They're like a cult now. They haven't turned against him. Like, if you're a Zack Snyder fan, you're a fan for life. They even got websites dedicated to this man.
That's
DCEU.
Fair. That is fair. But a lot of people do dislike him.
I mean, I dislike him, definitely. Because I mostly because of the fan base. And mostly because of the fan base. I'm just like, you guys are delusional. You guys don't see the bigger picture. All his movies are all the same. You know, there's a reason why I have a disdain for his movies. You know, 300
They do
cool.
have the same. Yeah, they do have the same look, though. Yeah,
they have the same freaking look. And Rebel Moon really done it for me. This was what really topped me off. I said, I'm done with this.
Well,
I'm done with this.
Those movies are like Zack Snyder Unchained, right? Because like he's got full creative control on those. I'm interested to see what happens with Gunn. I hope people don't turn on him. You know, I mean, I think I understand what you say about Zack Snyder. I don't think what you say is outrageous, but I don't know. I do feel bad for him in a way because like how DC handled him exiting.
Oh yeah, no, it was a bad all the way around. DC, Warner Brothers, screwed him over, and like I said, it was a bad handling all the way around. The way around. It was a PR nightmare.
Yeah. So I hope the same thing doesn't happen with James Gunn, or I hope the fan base isn't as like feverish as they could be. It's hard to tell, but
it's hard to tell. I mean, because you're gonna have people that's James Gunn fans, like James Gunn, like Zack Snyder cults, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, he done nothing wrong. It's just fine. Everything's just fine."
Right.
You know. So
but also,
it's hard to tell.
With like expectations so high, it's like even if Superman does come out, and it's a great movie when it comes out, but like if your expectations are so high, what if it doesn't hit those expectations? And like, how is the fan base going to react? Where it's like, yeah, I liked it, but it was pretty just okay. I don't know if he's should be the champion of this universe anymore.
I think this Superman movie is going to be probably on par with the Batman movie that came out, where people loved it, they liked it. It wasn't the best movie in the world. It wasn't better than Dark Knight for some people. So I think it's going to probably be on par with that.
Yeah.
Because I know a couple people that don't like the Batman that much either.
Right.
And, you know, there's a couple people that we work with, people that we know. I know Richard doesn't really, he likes it. He likes the movie, but he doesn't love it.
Well, even my opinion on the Batman movie, right? Where it's like, I liked it, but at the same time, it didn't give me anything new with the Riddler being the Riddler. I don't know, like me knowing the villain was a Riddler kind of took me out of it, right? Because like it's a mystery of like the Zodiac person, the Zodiac-esque killer, right? And then the whole time you're like, well, it's the Riddler. He's going to find out it's the Riddler. He's going to defeat the Riddler, kind of thing. Although I've said this before, I do like that the Riddler did kind of win.
Yeah, he did win.
Yeah. So that was my opinion on it.
So I think that's what a Superman movie is. In my honest assessment, that's why I think the movie's gonna fall. It's gonna fall somewhere in between that, where it's like, hey, we loved it. It was great start. You know, it wasn't enough. It wasn't like Dawn of Justice where you like you need to scrap everything and throw it in the trash and start over again.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's good expectations to have, James.
Yeah, so it's gonna be somewhere in the middle.
That's great expectations,
and if it's better than that, hey,
I'll
very exceeded my expectations. I'll take it.
Yeah. So, but with that being said, you definitely try to finish Creature Commandos when you can. It is a good show. It is a very well made show, and I did enjoy it. I don't want the fan base to like get too excited. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I understand. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen though.
Yeah. So, without further ado, James, I don't know. Ari, do you have anything else you want to discuss before we get out of here?
No, that's about it. They wasted our load.
Yeah, we did. We are spent. We are empty. We have nothing else to say. So, if anybody out there liked what they heard, you can follow us. On Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those great things. If you want to contact us, you can email us at onthegopod2023@gmail.com. Send us an email. Join Zach. Become a loyal listener. We'll read your emails on the show and we'll discuss what you have for us to discuss. And yeah, that's all I got. So without further ado, I'm on the go. James is on the go. We are all on the go.